The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Lifestyle. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Well, good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms, and I'm Nico Haan.
Yes, and I'm Paige Clarke, and it's a beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater, 61 degrees. Hope you're staying safe, warm, and dry where you are.
That's for sure. And, of course, if you have any questions, suggestions for the show, just want to talk to us, you can reach me at nico@tfnn.com.
And me at Paige@tfnn.com.
And we're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. Got a couple of letters from people over the holidays. I thought I'd mention a couple of them. Yeah, Alan sent me something. He says, hi, Happy New Year, Nico. You mentioned Nora Gagata's show. If you haven't seen the TED Talk, Alan Savory, she mentioned in the last emails. Yeah, I got that email from her, and I'd recommend people to watch that. Alan Savory, S-A-V-O-R-Y.
Was it a TED Talk with Alan?
TED Talk, yeah, and he was talking about the deforestation, actually about desertification of the planet and how a lot of our growing areas are changing, and because of climate change, because of it changes from time to time. Growing areas move. It's one of the things. If you establish a big growing area and the weather changes there, then you have to move it farther south or farther north. You know, those are the things that our ancestors always did. They always followed the food. So it's a natural thing. And I think it's important that people realize that, this is taking place. And when we establish places that are kind of in concrete, like your garden, and the weather changes and your garden doesn't do it anymore, you have to make changes, go inside or move, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, he says, Nico, I would like to tell you I'm very thankful for the effort and information you have shared over the years. Without hearing from you and Paige, of course, and Tom shows many moons ago, my health wouldn't be what it is today. You introduced me to a change that at 64 keeps me off my med, happy and healthy. Many thanks, and I hope you have a super 2017. Thanks so much, Alan. That's wonderful.
Alan, we love hearing from you, and we're so glad that you've made those choices, because it is really about empowering ourselves with information.
That's for sure. And then Ethan sent me a couple of ones. He said, did you see the Food Fuel series on Vice?
Yeah, he copied me on that too, and I haven't had a chance to watch it, Ethan, but we are going to. Nico and I discussed it.
Yeah, in fact, I watched a couple of the short parts of it. You find a lot of these on YouTube too. So you can go through the segments kind of quick.
But these videos are a series. It's called Fuel, and it talks about how very different many of the sports people's diets are. Yeah,
they're having people, going on fat. They have people going on sugar. They have people going on, all kinds of different concoctions that they favor. And it's interesting to see how people are doing.
Maybe a lot of these sports physiologists are using different biomarkers to determine what would be best for that person.
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing, too. He also had sent me a notice. I've seen many brands out of the apple cider vinegar. He says, do you use it? I said, yeah, of course I use it. He's trying to get his head wrapped around it, and there's a lot of different things about the thing. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about the apple cider vinegar. I love talking about apple cider vinegar,
and it is it's something a lot of people are thinking about. I was just doing a series on detox waters, and, obviously at the very forefront of that, every morning I have apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, and it's a thing I used for a long, long time. I don't use it as much anymore because I'm constantly in ketosis, and it really does help you get into ketosis. It actually, if you take it first thing in the morning, or if you take it with a high-carb meal, it actually changes your body chemistry enough to push it into more of a chance of burning fat, and it reduces the spike of the sugar.
Sure.
So it's a pretty cool product. Of course, it's been used for millions of years for many things.
So one of Ethan's question was, there's so many brands out there, and we'll clarify that, because there are certain brands that you're going to want to buy. You're not going to want to buy, I think the brand is called White House at your neighborhood Publix, which does not have the mother. You need organic, raw apple cider vinegar. And we'll clarify that.
And mother is kind of part of the starter, which keeps the whole thing healthy.
It's actually the probiotic culture that's in there, breaking it down.
Yeah.
And you know, Nico, before we started the show, I mentioned, you know, we always love sharing other sources of information. We like to collate it for you and offer it to you in a friendly format here. But we love sharing places and things that you should visit. One of my favorite YouTube personalities is Dr. Eric Berg. I read his book.
B-E-R-G?
B-E-R-G. And he was actually discussing apple cider vinegar the other day in one of his podcasts, and kind of renewed, you know, I had already known that I was going to get back to my daily apple cider vinegar drink. I mix it in with my whey drink. But he made a great point that one of the reasons apple cider vinegar is so good is that people tend to get too alkaline. And we are led to believe that we want to be alkaline, we want our blood alkaline. But there's certain parts of our digestive system that need to be acidified so that we can break down the food and disinfect the food. We've always said digest and disinfect. And apple cider vinegar really helps to has an acidic base, and it really helps to balance our pH, which oftentimes needs to be brought down. One of the things, and I just want to throw this out here, there's a website that's very prolific about two things I'm passionate about, which is iodine, which is apple cider vinegar, and Tibetan medicine. It's called J. Crow. Just Google J. Crow and apple cider vinegar, and it's all about the work of an old chiropractic doctor, an old Vermont doctor named J.C. Jarvis. And you will learn everything you need to know about apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So let's share some here, though, right?
Yeah, well, there was a study that I was interested in a journal called Diabetes Care, and the study participants are in 3 groups, had better blood glucose readings after they consumed less than an ounce of that with a high-carb meal. So that study was really important to me, because a high-carb meal in this case was very high-carb. It was actually a bagel and some orange juice. I mean, that's
which is
double
probably
whammy,
the two worst things to raise blood sugar.
And the people that took the apple cider vinegar just before consuming that meal had a lower blood sugar spike.
So that's really one of the promising benefits of apple cider vinegar, that it seems to help regulate blood sugar. And who could argue that we don't have a huge national issue with people and their blood sugar regulations? So that's good to know. And
in the other studies, they found that people who were using that, they had less body fat around their belly. So that the visceral fat that is around your belly, that's kind of the dangerous fat, they call it.
Yeah, we call it the visceral hard fat, right, that typifies the apple shape, Right.
So, I mean, and there's a lot of other studies, and I don't take the whole show up.
Well, this is kind of neat, though, but
yes, go ahead.
I've never heard of apple cider vinegar may ward off scale creep. In a study published in the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry, mice fed a high-fat diet along with acetic acid, which is vinegar, developed up to 10% less body fat than the controlled, but I didn't know what, scale creep. Okay, I was thinking of some type of skin condition.
Oh,
you're talking about creeping the scale.
Okay, but it does really help the skin, and it really does help dandruff. I remember my dad using it to get the dandruff off.
As an astringent, I take an ad because it's so strong, add a little drop of lavender. Use that. Your skin's supposed to have an acidic mantle. So, see, there's all kinds of good stuff when you just turn to Nature Knows.
Yeah, 877-927-6648. We're going to talk about bread right after the break, folks. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back to the show, folks. I'd like to remind you to pick up some Primal Edge, our one-shot wonder, make you healthy throughout the new year. And please pick up our Health Signals newsletter. Got a great article in the present newsletter about picking up the right type of light bulbs for your eye health. We talked about that on the show
That was
recently.
a really interesting talk.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to talk about today is bread. And I had one of actually Sylvia's customers, she's my physical therapist at my place, had a customer in there, and he was complaining about his joints aching, and he's had knee surgery and he's got problems with his hips, and he says, if I could just get rid of this pain, I'll just do just about anything to get rid of this. And he said, you have any suggestions? I said, well, the best thing, and he was asking about things like apple cider vinegar and asking about things you can rub on them, and I said, well, the best thing is just change your diet. And, just stop eating all that bread and pasta and stuff like that. And he goes,
And he looked at you like...
Yeah, oh, shock. Oh, my God, I can't do that. And that's really...
Didn't he just say he would do anything?
Almost anything. That's the thing.
Well, yeah. Sadly, I can attest that I find that with a lot of clients that consult with me.
That's the number one
And family members, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to change that.
Yeah. And no wonder, because we have a real long history of bread. And I thought we would go over a little bit of the history and find out why we're so hooked on bread and why bread was such an important staple for many, many years. But it really didn't start out that way.
Right, as we talked about really on our last show, is that, how we lived for hundreds of thousands of years without grains, and then they were introduced with the agricultural movement.
Yeah, and they said bread is one of the oldest prepared foods, with evidence in the biosphere here of about 30,000 years, Homo erectus, or Homo sapiens in Europe, starting to prepare a different kind of bread. Mm-hmm. This means that preparation of bread preceded domestication of plants such as wheat.
Right.
They used starchy plants such as cattails, ferns, where they were pounded by the stone tools, and then starch paste was spread on over a flat rock, which was placed over a fire, and that's how they first cooked the first flat bread.
Yeah, so there's a great picture on the telestrator there of Egyptian-looking person
And
kneading some bread.
Yeah, and this was about 10,000 years ago. This was depicted, and this is when really that the world changed with the domestication, and no wonder, because we know from the records that there was a huge change in our climate. We were in a cold climate for many years, but the Ice Age really started about 25,000 years ago, and around 10,000 years ago, it kind of changed, and things were starting to get warmer.
Here's the key thing. Humans began to domesticate plants rather than simply gathering wild plants. So we went to a grower versus a hunter.
Yeah, we took the seeds and we replanted those seeds.
With that domestication, the grains were used for making bread instead of the various cattails and that kind of thing. And in Mesopotamia, barley was the principal grain, and several kinds of breads were made from it.
Yeah. So it wasn't really wheat that started out, but
it was mostly unleavened.
Yes.
And that's what it was, flatbreads.
It was flatbreads, and they really didn't start letting it rise. At some point, they said the bread makers noticed that if you left the bread dough out before cooking it, it became naturally leavened by airborne yeast. This resulted in the bread making it lighter.
Yeah.
Then,
I thought this was interesting, though.
Yeah.
Again, we had class stuff. Among the upper classes, bread might have been enriched with animal fat, milk, butter, and cheese.
Yeah, so the people who were in charge most of the time had it a little bit better than the other people.
Sure did.
In the Roman times, bread was really used, and they used it from they skimmed a lot of the yeast and things, the foam off the beer, and used that as the starter, which kind of
cause it to rise?
Yeah, cause it to rise. So that was pretty interesting. And then about 5,000 years ago, it became really a staple in Egypt. Of course, at that time, we think they were building the pyramids. They were building a lot of these statues.
Yeah, and this interesting, Nico says, while beer is an ancient beverage, so is wine. And the parts of the ancient world where people were using grapes for making wine, they would also use that paste made from the grape juice and flour, which would allow it to ferment. And that's where we started to see these rising breads. So, they started setting it aside to be used the next day. And that's, I think, probably how they started to see the bread. They're saying, hey, something happens when we set it aside.
And here, of course, on the telestrator, we have that statue of a carving. And this was about 5,000 years ago in Egypt, showing that a woman all day long this is maybe the first assembly line here, in a sense. Henry Ford really wasn't the first. It was doing this monotonous job all day long, and then somebody else was picking it up after that.
This is interesting. Construction workers working on the pyramids of the Giza Plateau had a daily ration of 10 loaves of bread and 2 jugs of beer. Well, I always question that, because I'm sure there were some people working on those pyramids, but there were also there was some other force, because those pyramids were just not humanly possible. So whether it be a light tool, an energetic tool,
well, we don't know
off-planet type energy,
sure.
yeah, I think that's probably more likely.
I've watched many videos on that, and I'm always really fascinated by the ancient statues and things like that. And I don't think I think the Egyptians did build the pyramids, but I think they had some ancient knowledge of how to do that, and I think that's lost. And how old those things are is a different matter altogether. But the history of bread is so important, because it's from a long, long time ago, and so no matter, we talked many times about the Romans being really hooked on the bread, and the armies marched on bread, and it was really a great tool, because here's something you could take with you. It didn't really matter how old it was. If it was a week old, you could still eat it, even though it wasn't maybe as appetizing. When it's fresh, you can still eat it. You can take it on the move.
It kind of marks the beginning of the food for the masses.
It is the food
that
for the masses.
That continues today.
Exactly.
Or as, we learned through our exploration that a lot of these grains that still a lot of people argue are part of a core of a healthy diet, that might be a little bit of a misnomer. They're more of a food for a starvation diet. And many of these foods actually end up causing us to lose essential nutrients. We know that the phytates and grains can cause us to become depleted in key nutrients.
Yeah.
Yet this is where it all started.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because as we go through the ages, we're going to find out that these people did a lot of different things. Of course, we first started out just beating the heck out of it and using stones and things like that, which actually added probably minerals, essential minerals to it.
Well, there's never any essential minerals that you get from a stone.
I don't know about that. They use that in
it's just like calcium carbonate. I mean, we need essential minerals from plants. Remember, like with the plants break down the stones so we can use the minerals. But I know what you're saying. I mean, that could have happened. Actually, in that previous article, you know what it said? It said that from using the grain, they're hitting it so hard, there would be chips and they would abrade their teeth, and they started having teeth troubles because of the bread. Well, we know that the teeth, was it that, but we also know from the work of Weston A. Price and others that it was the grains or the carbohydrates that started to break down and see the decay in the teeth.
Yeah, I wonder how the stone getting into the digestive system, did it help the digestive system or did it hinder it?
Yeah, I would be sort of concerned.
You can see in this telestrator here that some of these ancient breads didn't look like really breads of today, for sure.
No, that looks kind of, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what are those fossilized
these are
pieces of bread?
Yeah, fossilized pieces of bread, but this is actually what
kind of looks like little drop cookies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, the most common source of leavening in antiquity was to retain a piece of dough with sugar and water in it from the previous day to utilize it as a form of sourdough starter. And Pliny the Elder reported that the Gauls and the Iberians used the foam skimmed from beers, as we talked about, to produce it.
Yeah, and it was also used probably from grapes and things like that for the wine. They use those things too. So we'll go on with this. This is pretty interesting to me. Folks, stick around. Please pick up some Primal Edge. And, of course, you know the number here is 877-927-6648. Join us.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show, folks. Sorry I didn't have that telestrator up, but I've got it working now, folks. It's interesting that in medieval Europe, bread served not only as a staple food, but as part of the table service. In the standard table setting of the day, the treacher, a piece of stale bread roughly 6 by 4 inches, was served as an absorbent plate. At the completion of the meal, the treacher would...
the trencher.
Trencher, excuse me, would be eaten, given to the poor, or fed to the dog.
So they actually used the bread as like a bowl.
Yeah, kind of like a bowl. Yeah. It was not until the 15th century that trenchers made of wood started to replace the bread variety. Bread in Europe was often adulterated with hazardous material, kind of like today, I guess. 20th century, including chalk, sawdust, aluminum,
plaster, clay, and ammonium.
Yeah.
So really, now as we approach the modern era, we see that there were many kinds of bread through the Greek times into the Middle Ages, and now the industrialization of bread baking was kind of a formative step in the creation of the modern world, quite frankly.
Yep.
We found that there's a gentleman, looks like he's a German guy, Otto Friedrich Rohwedder, is considered to be the father of sliced bread. It was in 1912 that he worked on inventing a machine that sliced bread. Bakeries were actually reluctant to use it at first, since they were concerned that the sliced bread would go stale more quickly. And it was not until 1928, when he invented the machine, that both sliced and then wrapped the bread, then the sliced bread caught on, and people started wanting it.
For generations, white bread was the preferred bread of the rich, while the poor ate dark, whole grain bread. Isn't that interesting? However, in most Western societies, the concoction was reversed in the late 20th century, with whole grain bread being preferred as having superior nutrition value, while the white bread became associated with the lower class.
Ignorance of nutrition. Interesting.
And it was interesting that, remember, we talked many times about the rice in China, that the brown rice was not used by the normal people. The white rice was preferred because they knew the toxins were in the outer shells.
And when we say the toxins, they also refer to the anti-nutrients, which we've shared with you all. Yeah, the toxins, but the ability that you can't really use it. Either way, isn't it funny how the cup has switched?
Yes. Yeah. Another major change happened in 1961 with the development of a bread process, Chorleywood.
Chorleywood bread process.
Yeah, which was used the intense mechanical working of dough to dramatically reduce the fermentation period. Remember, people always fermented the bread for many years.
Hear what they said, to reduce the fermentation period. Always trying to shortcut things.
Yes.
Want to shortcut it so they can get that bread on the shelf and make money, and that's the real problem with these breads. They haven't had the time to use the starters and the cultures to break down the bread.
And the time taken to produce a loaf at the expense of taste and nutrition. The process, whose high energy mixing allowed the use of inferior grain, is now widely used around the world in large factories.
So this is the process that's being used. This Chorleywood bread process is what's being used to produce these mass-produced day bread. You know, they make it, they put stuff in it to make it last. It's crazy.
Yeah. And even, we talked about during medieval times that was filled with so many toxins, things like that. Of course, remember in medieval times what the state of the health was in Europe. Very, very poor. They all had all kinds of problems with health.
And that was really due to sanitation.
Sanitation, definitely. It was a clue, for sure. More recently, and now we're talking about more modern times, especially in smaller retail bakeries, chemical additives were used, again, to speed up the mixing time, reduce necessary fermentation time, so that the batch of bread may be mixed, made up, risen, and baked in just a few hours, rather than that whole process of letting it sit out for overnight. Or
no, we call it the overnight bread. We call it the overnight cheese. You know, again, I'm going to start doing some series, I think, on Yes You Can. You know, Sally Fallon kind of grabbed that, and yes, you can have breads. Yes, you can have cheeses. Yes, you can have this. Yes, you can have that, if you understand that you can't shortcut the processes. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the biggest advice in the next segment, we're really going to go into what are the signs that you need to actually stop having bread. And that's my point, is if you're overweight, if you're getting your blood sugar spiked every single day,
if you have pain and inflammation,
in your joints, if you're a senior, if you're over 50 years old, I would say stop eating bread at least for a couple of years until your body normalizes. And then if you want to reintroduce things like that, reintroduce them in a much more healthy way of doing the fermentation, finding places where you can find this, finding bread that you can eat in a healthy manner, because what you're buying in the stores is not that today. In fact,
and that's the problem. You've got so many seniors that start to say, I really can't digest meat anymore. I don't crave it anymore. Well, that's a sign that you're running low on digestive enzymes.
Yeah.
And then what do they turn to? They turn to these starchy foods.
And it's actually the opposite, because we know that our plant foods are much harder to digest, need a special bacteria that you may not have, while the meats and the fats from animals are digested very quickly and very easily. So it's a misnomer to even talk about that the animal food is harder to digest. It may be because of your problem with hydrochloric acid.
They've gotten the trouble with the hydrochloric acid, so the animal foods do become, maybe not so much the fats, but again, well, if you don't have enough bile, but the cool thing is that we've got to understand digestion is important at any age, at every age.
Yeah, so now there's chemicals being used in the modern society, and there's a lot of them, and often these chemicals are added to dough in the form of the pre-packaged base. In other words, the bakers these days, even in the stores, have it all made for them.
Yeah, it's all ready. They haven't. Yeah. They're not having to use these cultures.
You're getting the dough shipped in, and that's how old is the dough? We don't even know. So it's kept in a stasis with chemicals, so it won't rise, or it'll partially rise, or maybe it rises and then it's kept in stasis. Various different ways, but since 1986, domesticated bread makers that automate the process of making bread have been popular even in the home. So now you're making bread like the manufacturers are making in your house, which doesn't make any sense at all.
You know, if you see a lot of ingredients on your bread package, then you can be assured that this is not the kind of bread that, you know, we were designed to eat and be able to digest. And there are a lot of artesian bread makers starting to come out. I met a real cute young guy. He and his father have a bread making company here locally. I'm going to actually try and meet him out at one of our markets and do a little video on them. And he was showing me we have 3 or 4 ingredients in our bread.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And of course we have so many different kinds of breads. We have, in fact, I have a thing here that tells you a whole timeline, and we're not going to go into that, but I will be putting a link into a future Health Signals newsletter, so you can see all the different types of bread and the different nations, how the bagel came about, why these breads were made, and why they were changed. And a lot of the recent changes, of course, are due to manufacturing time. They wanted to shorten the time.
They want to shorten the time, and we see this throughout our whole food thing. Everything's rushed. Everything's designed to be sped up. And our ancestors...
Why do we do this?
For money.
That's right.
But you can't put a price on your health.
Money before health.
Money before health. So when we say, yes, you can, there are foods that you can eat. Ideally, we shouldn't have to eliminate any area of our food types. There's benefits, there can be benefits, but yes, you can if you do it right and if you prepare them right and don't shortcut. So when it comes to breads, you know, make the right choices by getting breads that are prepared the way that we can use them.
That's for sure. Folks, pick up some Primal Edge, pick my Health Signals newsletter. Got a brand new one I'm working on right now, so I can keep this trend going throughout 2017. So
that's
stick
right.
Stick around, 877-927-6648. Give us a call, folks. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
We're talking about bread, and Nico opened the show talking about how one of his clients was saying, geez, I'm achy, I don't feel good, my joints hurt, what should I do? And Nico said, have you considered giving up bread? And what we know is that today most bread is unhealthy for a variety of reasons, but the way that the product is produced today and always is a significant factor. Years ago, bread was predominantly created using wholesome whole ingredients and prepared in a home style. And today it's heavily processed and contains far few natural ingredients.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, of course, the food pyramid, even though they've changed it to a plate now, they really do recommend whole grains as part of maybe a third of your diet.
And like we do everything, we take the food pyramid and we flip it upside down.
Yeah, now we have to spin the plate.
Yeah, spin the plate.
So here's some reasons why you should stop eating bread immediately. Number one, your blood sugar rapidly spikes.
Blood sugar issues is a sign that you're carbohydrate intolerant.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially if you're putting margarine on it.
Yeah, that's a trans fat.
Yeah, remember in the old days, if you had the really good bread that was naturally processed and that didn't have the yeast in it, now you're eating something that's not as damaging. But if you put some really good butter on it, that'll help slow the process down.
We like to say, have a little bit of bread with your butter. Have a little butter with your bread.
Yes, I like that.
Because that's so true. The way the bread is processed today affects how glucose enters the bloodstream. So, if you are going to eat bread, if you feel that you can still eat bread, if you're at your normal weight and you're not struggling with carbohydrate intolerance, make sure to use this as an opportunity to get grass-fed, healthy butter into your system.
Yeah, and one of the things is that the bread of today is actually higher in a glycemic index than most candies.
Well, we say it's like taking 10 teaspoons of sugar.
Yeah.
So someone says, oh, I don't eat candy, but I eat bagel every morning. Well, that's like having a piece of candy.
It's like having a great big bowl of cereal and using low-skim milk, and now 2 hours later you're hungry, and you've just eaten enough food for the whole day in that, and you're hungry. It has nothing to do with that you're not being nourished with this. Well, you aren't being nourished with it.
Okay, number two reason that you want to give up eating bread immediately is brain fog. Are you having trouble remembering where you set your keys? Keeping your train of thought. Brain fog is a sign of blood sugar problems. Remember, brain issues are a sign of what we can kind of call they're now saying type 3 diabetes. There's a sugar imbalance and inability to get the glucose into the brain cells.
Example here is we've decided on a good portion of fish for dinner to add some essential fatty acids into your diet, a terrific habit for the brain. To balance out the meal, we bought some freshly baked bread from the local convenience store. What is the result? Well, we'll indeed digest some of the fatty acid, though not nearly as much as we like, since bread essentially blocked and reduced the absorption of fatty acids and other brain essentials. The result is a decrease in cognitive ability.
Just kind of highlights what I said last segment. There's anti-nutrients in the bread, so having bread be an accompaniment many times means that the nutrients that you could have enjoyed in your meal are blocked and just wasted.
So don't take the bread and the butter.
Number 3,
just
do you
eliminate
have
the bread and just take the butter and put it in some coffee.
Right, or put it on the vegetables.
Exactly.
Nothing better than your vegetables bathed in butter, in my opinion.
We always had that at our house. Always butter with the vegetables, and that's what the thing that made the peas tolerable was smearing the butter on it.
And the cool thing about it is that literally all of those minerals that you find in your vegetables are virtually not usable unless they have a fat-soluble carrier. So think about that. Number 3, are you suffering from high cholesterol levels? Well, then this is a sign you should give up breads. You are carbohydrate intolerant.
Yeah, whole wheat bread has been found to increase LDL cholesterol by up to 60% over a 12-week period. LDL is that...
I don't like this, but they say LDL is the bad cholesterol.
It's cholesterol that goes from your liver into the bloodstream.
Yeah, I'm going to correct that. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. It's the one that can get in trouble, let's put it that way, if it becomes oxidized.
Yeah, wheat and flour has been directly linked to an increase in cholesterol levels. Bread is an example of food's ability to raise cholesterol levels without technically being high in fat content. In fact, breads impact the bad cholesterol, or the cholesterol that leaves your liver levels. It's currently igniting a debate between nutritionists and other medical professionals.
There you go. That's exactly what we're saying. So what is the reason that this happens is that bread is a carbohydrate. When we have a lot of bread and we become carbohydrate intolerant, we create inflammation. Cholesterol goes to the arteries to repair the damage caused by excess carbohydrates.
Yes.
And I posted a very interesting article by Mark Hyman recently that says, sugars, not fats, are the cause of heart disease and high cholesterol.
So what happens when you stop eating bread?
Yeah, there's some awesome things that happen when you make that decision.
Exactly. One of the first things that you'll notice is that your skin will get cleaner. If you've got a teenager and they got a lot of acne, it may not be the hormones.
Right.
It may be the bread or the cereal that you're feeding or the pasta.
Right, because if it's a digestive stress, the body is going to use the skin as a way to try to clear things up.
Yeah, this condition is known as wheat intolerance, and the symptoms of wheat intolerance can range from simple bloating to more bothersome conditions like acne and dermatitis.
Exactly. Number 2, your belly will get flatter. You'll notice that you're not as bloated, and you're obviously digesting the food better because that type of food that was causing the stress to your digestive system is just no longer there.
You got that right. One of the things, too, is that you'll feel a heck of a lot better. The bottom line is when you cut bread from your diet, particularly poor quality, high-processed bread, you'll end up cutting a lot of fast carbs from your diet. You won't overflow your carb tank. You'll be able to lose weight faster, and hence, of course, the belly will go down itself.
And you'll actually have a lot more energy because carbohydrates are difficult for many people to digest. We just simply, as Nico and I discussed in one of these segments, is some of the stuff we don't even have the digestive enzymes naturally, inherently, to break them down. Here's kind of a short, sweet way to summarize this. Okay. Carbohydrates trigger the release of a feel-good brain chemical that helps us to relax. So when we eat a high-carbohydrate food, like a bread, we tend to become more chill, more calm, and very sleepy. You ever notice if you have a big pasta meal or something, maybe the big, big piece of bread at a big meal, you often have that sleepy feeling. So in addition to that, the bread is high on the glycemic index, and they cause the blood sugar to spike. So you get that little energy for a second, but then you get that crash.
Yeah, you move from the dining table to the couch to watch the TV, and you just kind of just lay there and watch the news and get more information than you need.
So here's an equation for you. Less bread equals more stable blood sugar and higher energy levels.
Yeah.
And that's what I think all of us want, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So,
and of course, there's some things that are negative that are going to happen to you when you stop eating bread, because there's kind of a pull that bread gives you. And one of those things is you catch what they call the low carb flu. And carbs are the brain's main source of energy, but you can get it from the ketones. We've discussed this many times, that we don't have to get it from the sugar. And the sugar really gives you that pizzazz. You know, it's kind of a rocket fuel is what I call it. It's something that you take to the drag strip and kind of like nitro, pour it into your carburetor. You can go down to the strip and really go fast. But to use it every single day is a really waste of fuel and really hard on the machinery, which is the living body.
well, I think feeling that low carb, when you give that up and you feel like you have the flu, it's really a sign of detoxing. The body's clearing things out.
That's a
So
good
we've
point.
got a couple other things that could be good or could be bad when you give up bread. Some signs of things changing. So we have to take a short break, and we'll go over this when we get back.
We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse. Next on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. And we're talking about bread and some of the effects that happen, both negative and positive. The first positive here mentioned is you lose water weight.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting thing, because when you do lower your carb intake, the first thing you notice how quickly, even magically, the weight comes off. But that's most likely not fat weight to start with. You're losing water, because this is interesting. Carbs are stored in the body in the form of glycogen, and each gram of carbohydrates stores 3 to 4 times its weight in water.
Yeah, another thing too is with water, the more water you drink, the less you retain.
That's
so if you stop drinking water, you retain more. Your body wants to keep it. So
yeah, it's fearful that that you're
okay. We
not
mentioned
enough.
that you catch the low carb flu, but also you have cravings, and this is the real plus: is that your cravings subside, and not just the cravings for the bread. All kinds of cravings, like just basic hunger cravings, stop because you may be switching over to burning fat, a different fuel, the better fuel.
Like we always teach people. Carbs are like, jet fuel. Fats are like the log, slow-burning log.
Yeah, like oil, like an oil furnace. Much cleaner, however.
Right.
Yeah.
And another one is your risk of heart disease and diabetes goes up or down. Interesting thought. Well, I can tell you from my experience in training as a digestive specialist with the Loomis Institute that carbohydrate intolerance, as I mentioned earlier, is what is tied more to heart disease.
Yes.
So obviously, if you either choose not to eat them, therefore you may or may not be intolerant to them, but if they're not in your diet, that's going to lower your risk.
Yeah.
And if in fact you do have carbs and you are intolerant, then you're increasing your risk, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Number 5 is your energy levels drop, and this is something that kind of like the
it could be either way, though. We talked about if you eat too many carbs and you're intolerant, you get that lazy feeling.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, because they're not efficient fuel burners of fat yet, if they give up the carbs, they may say, wow, I just have no energy. I need those carbs. No, what it is you need to know how to do an oil change. You need a fuel change.
And it depends how healthy you are in the beginning. The longer you've been a carbaholic, the harder it is for you to start. So the time to start is now, naturally. So if you've been on it for years and years like I was, it seemed like it didn't take me too long because I think my sources of food were probably pretty healthy to begin with because I've been on this quest for a long time. But when I switched over to being in ketosis, all those cravings and the low energy went away, and now the energy is just endless.
Well, you can tell that this person who wrote this is pretty much a pro-carb person, but they said, number 6, you don't poop. And this person is sharing the concept that, that we need this fiber from the grains to move our bowels. Well, no, we don't. We need the fiber from fruits and vegetables to move. And we've talked about the Russian researcher who has the websites Fiber Menace and gutsense.org. So we really do not keep grains in your diet because you need to poop. Find other ways to stimulate that activity. It's really the indigestible parts of plants. Like green vegetables, use those to get that moving.
The other 2 things is you get real moody and your workouts suffer. And, of course, this is part of the lower energy.
Well, it's really what we were just saying.
Yeah, these are temporary.
You don't know how to burn the fat.
It's a temporary, and temporary can be long for some people, maybe a year for certain people, and certainly they found lots of athletes who've switched over, take about a year to completely have the process where you're really efficient, and that's your body has to relearn this, so it's really important. Folks, the John Logan is next on TFNN and with the Global Market Pulse, followed by Larry Presenta, Tom O'Brien, of course, Tom O'Brien Show, Basil Chapman, swim lessons at noon.
From TD Ameritrade. We sure do. We have a full schedule, but we've run out of time today.
Yeah.
So
Andy Hecht at 5 o'clock, and Tom O'Brien from 3 to 5. So stick with TFNN all day long. No reason to change the dial. Thanks a lot for sticking around,
folks.
Have
See you next time. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. trades. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.